My mom and I found out in September that my father had been cheating on her for at least 5 years. How do we know it was that long? He has 2 kids with her, and the oldest is a preschooler. His affair partner is someone well known. She made a name for herself for pushing Christian family values. She's been on local radio spewing hate for many different people. I know someone who was her student before, and she was an absolute idiot to them all, always judging them for being in a private Christian school and not being Christian enough. She left her job for a while, and that's when she had the 2 kids. She started at a new school a couple of years ago, another Christian private school. When Mom and I discovered who she was, we were in the what in the world category. My father wanted me to give her a chance and not hold the affair against him and get to know his family. But since I'm nearly an adult, he couldn't force me, and I told him I wanted nothing to do with him, her, or their kids. It bothered me so much that I looked up the school she worked for. I saw that they had a code of ethics for their teachers, and she violated it in 2 ways, 1 with the affair and 2 with having kids before marriage. So I anonymously contacted the school and shared that info with them, and she was fired. They didn't figure out I was the one who did it until last month when her appeal ended, and she saw some of the evidence they had against her. Of course, they were angry and accused me of being awful and spiteful and thinking of the kids, blah blah blah. I really don't care what they think, and I love seeing that arrogant idiot knocked off her high horse. But my aunt, whom I was always close to, sided with them. She said what I did was incredibly spiteful and it would have hurt the kids more than anyone if the consequences were homelessness or whatever. She told me I didn't have to want anything to do with them but shouldn't have gone so far. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your dad's affair, the woman's hypocrisy and the school's rules are all factors. You were hurt and reacted. It's not your job to shield her from the consequences of her choices. These people need to start getting called out on their hypocrisy. If it costs them, too bad. Yeah, it's easy for your aunt to say what you should have done, but she wasn't in your shoes. You were hurt and angry and you acted on it. This is also considered lying, keeping the truth hidden to protect kids. Let's keep the sin ball rolling. Perhaps Aunt knew about the situation already. Someone must have known something for it to go on that long and produce 2 children. Bingo. Her accusing OP so readily reeks of something fishy. OP, your dad and his side piece should be concerned with not hurting all the kids. It's not your job to protect yourself or his other kids from their bad behavior. Maybe your dad and relatives should be focused on how he hurt you and not whether someone who broke the rules of their employment got fired. You are the idiot, particularly since I didn't see where you called your dad's work, friends, social group, etc. and burned him at the stake too. Why is it the women only have the scorched earth policy with the mistress? It's your dad who took vows and chose to blow up your family. Sounds like he's a consummate liar, leading a double life for 5 years and he gets a pass. Can't hold daddy accountable. I am so sick of teen girls and grown women ripping apart the other woman instead of the man. She'll get hers eventually because she's with a liar and cheater. Your dad is the biggest idiot. My mother-in-law, 64, has never liked me, 30 female. She's polite when my husband, 35, is around, but she constantly makes passive-aggressive comments when we're alone. If I wear makeup, I'm trying too hard. If I don't, I look tired. If I buy something nice for myself, I'm wasting money. But the worst part, she critiques everything I cook. Despite this, I've always cooked for her. She lives alone, so my husband invites her over 3 times a week to make sure she's eating well. I wouldn't mind if she were appreciative, but she never is. No matter what I make, she always finds something wrong. This soup could use more seasoning. After I followed her exact recipe, LOL. The chicken is a little dry when I made her favourite dish. You put cheese in this? That's not how I do it. I've bitten my tongue for years to keep the peace, but last week was the final straw. I made homemade lasagna, including fresh pasta and a special sauce, for 2 hours. She sighed when she took a bite and said, "I guess this is edible." I put my fork down and said, "I'm done. If you don't like my cooking, you can make your own meals." She looked shocked and then burst into tears. She told my husband that I had humiliated her at the dinner table and that she didn't feel welcome in our home anymore. Instead of defending me, my husband immediately took her side. He said I was overreacting and that she's just old-fashioned, she doesn't mean anything by it. I told him that just because she's older doesn't get her a free pass to insult me whenever she eats at our house. Now she refuses to eat at our home unless my husband cooks, which he rarely does, low-key a win. She's also started making passive-aggressive remarks about not wanting to be a burden and how sad it is to eat alone in old age. My husband is furious with me for ruining family dinners and insists that I should just let it go because that's just how she is. But I refuse to spend hours cooking for someone who goes out of her way to criticize me. Am I the idiot? My husband is furious at me for ruining family dinners. This has me rolling. Like, no dear, your mom is an ungrateful harpy. If you don't have something nice to say, keep your trap shut. From now on, I'm matching her energy. Not the idiot, but your husband is. I'd bet money that this isn't the only example of your husband coddling his mother at your expense. If your husband doesn't want his mother to eat alone, he can either take on more cooking or run to his mommy's house and eat there. Maybe he'll decide to stay there some time, which honestly sounds like a win for you. 100% OP has a husband problem. Mama's boys are never good husbands. That OP put up with this for years tells me she knew her husband would react this way, and his mom is a classic narcissist with her crying, then immediately guilt-tripping when she's criticized, and obviously OP's husband is still around her finger. OP, you're not the idiot, but when your husband married you, you should have become his #1 priority, which means defending you. She's going to be like this in every aspect of your life. Also, if you want to have kids, don't have kids with this man until he's worked out his unresolved mommy issues. My sister got married last year and it's been a mess of massive proportions. Her husband's divorced and he has 2 kids, pre-tween and tween, with his ex. His ex is insane and there's a lot of unhappiness in my sister's home. The kids don't like my sister because of their mom's influence. My sister is pregnant, so that's extra exciting. The kids don't like our family because we're related to my sister. They also started hating their own aunt because she and my sister had become close since they met. The kids are rude and disrespectful to my sister and to us. They throw tantrums and only their dad can make them stop in the moment. Anyone else steps in and they fully ignore them. I don't blame the kids though, their mom is very clearly behaving poorly. She crashed my sister's wedding and caused a scene and tried to take the kids home with her even though it was his parenting time. A couple of weeks later, she was crashing a party at our house and insisted that her kids didn't belong there. Then, a while after that, it was a cousin's birthday party, and she stood outside the venue and yelled at us from a distance. The kids wanted to go with her and that became a fight. Stuff also happened before the wedding, but there's too much to list. Brother-in-law took his ex back to court and armed with the proof of her behaviour, he tried to make her stop or change custody. But all she got was a warning and no custody change. She continued showing up like that and ruining events or causing a scene. It turns out the kids were telling her about all their plans with us and she was showing up because she objected to them spending time with my sister or her extended family. I found out just before Christmas that the ex had run off with the woman brother-in-law dated after he and his ex divorced. That her crazy had made the woman no bout. My sister knew and married him anyway. The ex never bothers brother-in-law's family, but she doesn't want her kids getting close to another woman or becoming part of another family, and she's doing her best to stop it. My brother-in-law had the kids for Christmas and they invited both families over. The ex showed up again and caused a scene. The police removed her like they've done several times already. Brother-in-law and his ex were in court again and the same thing happened. A warning. I've been engaged for a few months and my fiancé and I finally set a date for our wedding last month. All she wanted was a summer wedding and what I wanted was a day without my brother-in-law's ex crashing, so we chose a week when my brother-in-law wouldn't have his kids. We didn't say that when we announced the date, but my sister and brother-in-law noticed and they were annoyed we didn't consider his custody schedule. We did, just not how they wanted. We said we were sorry and we couldn't change it now but hoped they'd still come. My sister accused me of excluding 2 young family members by keeping the date. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister wants you to risk having her husband's deranged ex crash your wedding like she's done repeatedly. You have every right to protect your special day from becoming another episode of her chaos. This isn't about excluding anyone, it's about preserving your peace. Those kids don't want to be there anyway, and your sister is delusional if she thinks they do. Spare everyone the drama. If for some reason they end up coming, hire private security. Honestly, it sounds like OP's sister and brother-in-law are upset because OP's choice highlights how messy their situation really is. I don't even know why they'd think his custody schedule would be a legitimate consideration in their wedding in the first place. He just married into the family, and his kids hate his wife and her entire family. How self-centered and egotistical do you have to be to think that someone else's wedding is going to be planned around your schedule? Sister needs a come to Jesus talk. Just how entitled is your sister that she thinks it's even remotely acceptable to risk this crazy witch showing up and ruining your wedding day? She either needs to leave this dude or have that lunatic thrown in jail. This lunacy will never stop otherwise. Best of luck on your wedding and your marriage. My 21 non-binary boyfriend, 25, had a passport appointment today. For context, I went through this process myself when I was 18 with no help. I had to fix his form because he filled it out wrong, and I printed it out at the library for him. All he had to do was bring his documents, get the money order, and get cash. He thought he didn't need cash initially, so I had to remind him about that. When we met at the library, he showed me that his dad's name was spelt differently on his birth certificate than he'd told me, so I had to refill out the form for him with his dad's name spelled correctly. I've repeatedly told him to text his dad and ask for the correct spelling, but he just doesn't. Then we realised he made his money order payable to the library instead of the government, so we had to reschedule the appointment after all that effort. I was so annoyed because I could have predicted something would go wrong. I'd already tried to prevent him from messing it up by fixing his form twice and reminding him to bring cash, and still something went wrong. I was very annoyed and raised my voice at him in the parking lot after he raised his voice at me and said, "I have never done this before." I was annoyed because I also had never done it before when I did it, and I did it at age 18. He's 25 years old. Isn't that ridiculous? I said, "Why can you never do any adult tasks alone? I always have to help you." He got really upset and later called me and said I should have been more empathetic and not raised my voice or got mad at him. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. Boyfriend, for obvious reasons. Incompetence is never a good look. However, you repeatedly say you had to do the tasks he should have done. No, you did not have to. You chose to. If you were going to resent the help you gave, you shouldn't have done it. You are not his parent. You figured it out because no one told you how to do it. Why do you think your boyfriend cannot learn how to do these things? Either he's actually incompetent, and you should probably figure out if you want to raise him as your child, or he's not incompetent and is just pretending to be, so you will do things for him, and you need to decide if that's what you want to be to him. Yelling isn't a way to solve anything. Agree here. OP, you didn't have to or need to. Don't insert yourself into tasks that don't require you. You're just enabling him to be reliant. If you resent his lack of independence as an adult but continue enabling it, you're just going to continue feeding a relationship full of resentment. Never a healthy thing. Back off and let him grow up or end things. Don't mother him. Let him experience failures and deal with the consequences. Disagree. A hidden learning disability can make some of these tasks difficult. OP, I really encourage you to suggest to him that he get evaluated for a learning disability. I hope he can sort this out. No one enjoys feeling stupid. No one enjoys having their partner make them feel stupid. I, 19 female, recently went on a date with a guy, Ben, 25, after meeting through mutual friends. He was nice enough at first, but I found out he had 2 kids. One's a pre-tween male, which means he became a dad at 18 with a 19-year-old, and the other is a male toddler. I've always known I don't want to date someone with kids. There was nothing wrong with him, but I just couldn't see myself in that situation long term. I'm not particularly a fan of kids. If I have my own someday, we'll see, but that's not happening anytime soon. However, I don't think I could handle being a stepmother. After our first date, he messaged me, saying he really liked me and wanted to see me again. I politely told him I didn't think it would work out. That's when he started pressuring me for a reason. He said he felt we clicked so well, we had the same interests, and he didn't understand why I was saying no. I tried to keep it vague initially, but he kept pushing, so I finally told him I wasn't comfortable dating someone with kids. That set him off. He started saying things like how he thought younger girls liked experienced men and that I was judgmental. Then he said he didn't plan for any of this to happen and asked, "Don't you think I'm a victim? I was just a dumb kid when I had my first, and the second one was a surprise. I don't even see the kids that often and we wouldn't have any problems. I was baby-trapped. I have it way harder than you." At that point, I was done. I didn't reply to him anymore. He told the mutual friends who set us up. They said I was being judgmental. Nobody nowadays cares about how many baby mamas someone has or about being a stepmom. I told them I just don't see myself in that position. My friends said they understood, but that I should still apologize to Ben. So, should I do it? I don't think I'm wrong, but my friends say my apologizing would make peace for their relationship with Ben too. Am I the idiot? So, he had his first child when he was OP's age and referred to himself as a stupid kid. So what does that make OP? A not-so-stupid kid. And that's what makes him so mad. Poor Ben was not ready for so much wisdom. He's not even a good person, to be honest. Wouldn't accept your no at face value, tried to pressure you with guilt trips, said weird things like young girls want experienced men so we should date, and tried to make you date him out of pity like that's something that ever goes well. The single dad thing is secondary to all that. You are entitled to your boundaries, and your "I'm not interested" would have been enough for a genuinely good guy. And he doesn't see his kids that often anyway. This isn't the positive point he thought it was. He basically told her, "I don't take contraception that seriously, and if you happen to get pregnant, better learn that single mom skill now, LOL." And even if she is okay with that setup, the status quo can change quickly. Like one baby mama dies or he suddenly has an epiphany that he wants to be in his son's life, and she wouldn't have to deal not only with one but two of them. Yeah, heck no. Exactly, stay clear of this man, child. Any friends telling you to give him another chance or apologize need to back off. No one should have to date someone they don't want to, and if they think he's so great, they should date him. Find new friends.